Hello, welcome to the Week in Review. I am Mamadou Mbodj. As usual, every week we take 10 or so headline stories and try to get behind the headlines to digest, as it were, the talking points. And this week, the Ministry of Interior launched what it calls a technical working group for an establishment of a national infrastructure for peace in the Gambia. And the by-elections in Niamina West. It's a two-horse race between GDC and the newly formed NPP. This will be their first elections. We'll get into that story. And of course, during the week, we also celebrated Maulud Nabi, the birth of the Prophet Muhammad. And of course, the world of journalism, or should I say media, because his name in many ways was synonymous with e-media in this country. The world of journalism lost a towering figure during the week. Today, on the Week in Review, these are some of the stories and more to digest. And to help me do that is Mr. Mustafa Mbai. Mustafa Mbai, former GRTS senior editor, and you are also with the GPU now, the chair of the ethics disciplinary panel, as they call it. Welcome to the Week in Review.
Thank you, Mr. Mbodj, for having me on the program.
Absolutely. So tell us a bit more about yourself in journalism, as it were.
Well, yes. So I'm going to begin with my career as a journalist. Began, of course, at GRTS, as you rightly mentioned during your introduction. So I joined GRTS in 2009, and that's exactly when my career in journalism began. GRTS, of course, being a library in terms of journalism status, helped me grow up very well. So in 2014, of course, we knew that the University of the Gambia established a journalism school. So I happened to be among the first homegrown journalism graduates, which is, of course, a pride that I share with all my colleagues. And yes, so I graduated from the University of the Gambia School of Journalism, which also took me to the University of Lagos, of course, through a memorandum of understanding between the two journalism schools to harness the potentials that will, of course, increase our output in the field, and also to learn about the very, very, of course, challenging and media environment in Nigeria, which we, of course, I benefited so much from.
Thank you very much there. Fantastic credentials there. Cheers. Now we'll go on straight to our first story. Of course, as I said in my introduction, the world of journalism lost a hugely significant figure. He was a pioneer in what we call e-media. He was in film, making documentaries. So truly a cultural presence. One can even say an icon. Let's just take a look at that clip.
Ibu was a household name in the Gambia. He contributed his own quota in his own area of specialization. Documentary, television, radio, you name it, empowering generation next, representing the Gambia beyond the borders of the Gambia, receiving international awards in the movie or cinema, movie or the film industry, and Ibu has done a lot.
That's it. Mr. Mbai, you are at GRTS. I know that he was hugely significant as well as a senior, as a supervisor, manager at GRTS. In fact, they pioneered it, just as he also helped QTV as well. Did you know him?
Well, yes. Of course, the obvious answer is yes, and I believe almost every Gambian knows the late colleague of ours that had fallen this week. Now, personally, I didn't meet him at GRTS, but his works are there that I've gone through several times during my research, especially when I embarked on a documentary, so of course it's always just it's just amazing, the amount of work that the late Ibuage did at GRTS. He's an icon. He was an icon. His family has lost a great figure. The Gambia has lost a very influential figure. The media fraternity in the Gambia and around the world has lost a very, very important personnel. Now, the late Ibuage did not only, show his services at the state broadcaster, but he has also been helping students in their research. I happen to be one of them. Probably some of my colleagues who are watching me from the School of Journalism and knows that when we have assignments or exams to develop documentaries, he welcomed us in his studios, in his home, in his office, and did everything that we ask from him, or more than what we even asked from him. So coming back to what he did at GRTS, as I mentioned earlier, these are pioneers, the first television station established in the country, and during a time when it's totally different from now in this digitized world. At that time, it was very difficult, the use of analog and other systems. But, with the time and energy that was spent in dealing with just one news story was just unimaginable. So if you see the amount of material that the late Ibuage and his team, his colleagues did, it's just marvelous. So it's a great loss, as I said earlier, to the nation in general. Absolutely,
but then this is it. We all know that sooner or later we will die. But the thing is, what do you leave behind? You see, as a journalist, he was just an all-rounder in many ways. He was versatile, wasn't he? Inspirational, as you also mentioned, and a mentor. Even our current Minister of Information, in his statement regarding his death, says something like that. So a remarkable man. He has left so much that we can look at, and then to remind us of him.
So yes, and that was evident when people went to pay their last respect to him. As you mentioned, the Minister of Information was there. I saw him there. I saw him speaking to the media. And yes, so the legacy left behind is one that we will live with for the rest of our lives. And it's a legacy that, as you rightly mentioned, he's a mentor. I said it here earlier, that when we have our assignments from the School of Journalism, we all head to his office. And he welcomes us, give us food, give us beverage, and help us do the work that we are supposed to do. So it's just a great, great loss that we will continue to mourn for a very long time.
That's it. And we do honor to his memory by really assimilating, embodying his values and whatever he represented. Thank you very much there. May God have mercy on his soul, and our condolences to the children and all the family. And thank you very much there. Now we go on to the next story. The nominations are done in Niamina West. There's a by-election there since the unfortunate death of the former National Assembly member, the GDC member, Honorable Demba Sow. So everything is set. Looks like a two-horse race. Let's just take a look at this clip.
The stage is now set for the two candidates to battle it out in what many said will be a dramatic by-election. An 11-day campaign period began this week Monday. Since then, supporters have been going from village to village to do rallies and solicit support for their respective candidates. The candidate for the GDC, Yero Jallow, began his campaign in Anis Kunda, while Birom JSO of the NPP was in Jaulaba in the Niamina West.
Thank you. Mr. Mbaye there. Two-horse race, Jallow versus Sow. And just imagine that we've got how many parties now? Quite curious there. So in the end, even though we've got alliances, haven't we? We've got NPP with National Reconciliation Party, with NRP, and the UDP with GDC. What do you make of it? What's happening in Niamina West?
Yes, so It's going to be interesting. It's already interesting, in fact. Just to a brief history of why this is happening, we all, if we could recall, the National Assembly elections under the new republic, of course, under the new government of President Adama Barrow, was held in April 2017. So this particular constituency, which is Niamina West, of course, was won by the GDC. Tragically, the MP, Honorable Demba Sow, late now, tragically passed away in Morocco in January this year during an official visit. So, in line with the Constitution and the Elections Act, there should be a by-election, which was scheduled to take place in April this year. Unfortunately, the IEC couldn't fulfill that at the time, so they decided to postpone it, which is also in line with the Constitution up till now, that it is going to be held, of course, this month. So it's going to be interesting because it was contested by two candidates at the time, the GDC and the NRP, and here we are. Again, it's been contested by two candidates, and probably the new thing about that is this time there is a player which is new in the field, which is the National, of course, People's Party, the NPP, of the current incumbent. So it's like history is repeating itself.
And this new player comes with weight.
Yes, history is repeating itself. It was contested by two candidates in 2017, and it's now been contested by two candidates because as far as the other parties are concerned, and the information that we got from the IEC is that it's the NPP and the GDC that are at loggerheads regarding this by-election, this seat.
Absolutely, but what I found sort of quite staggering, I have to say, listening to them on the QTV News when they were interviewed, both candidates, it was quite interesting for the NPP candidate saying to the people of Niamina, saying, well, you do not have things like electricity, good roads, because you've not been voting for the government. He's almost saying that when you are in government, then that's when you can do certain things. I just sat there astonished. I said, for governments to bring development, it doesn't matter whether you voted for them or not. Once you are in power, you are for everybody. So it was quite interesting that he was using that line as a campaigning tool. What do you make of things like that?
Yes, I saw it on the news. And of course, it's typical of Gambian politicians trying to use, of course,
the privileges and incumbency.
Yes.
Really, the privileges of incumbency.
Exactly. So, and I don't think it is right. So, that is my opinion. I don't think it's right that you will ask people to vote for you because you are.
Because perhaps otherwise,
yes,
the government wouldn't do these things for you. That was certainly the suggestion, really. That was the outspoken.
Yes, as a journalist and communication, I wouldn't call myself expert, but I would say that it could amount to disinformation, because the government is providing development to all sectors of society, irrespective of regions or constituencies or villages or towns that supports it or not, that supports the incumbency or not. They all receive that. So probably because also we can, the level of understanding, political awareness in the country is very low. So politicians use all measures to try and amass as much votes as they can, and this was one of them. But coming back to
the electorate must be aware.
Yes.
Must be aware of some of these tricks.
Yes, but that is a process for the electorate to be sensitized, to know about politics, to know about their rights. As of course, we in communication for development, we call them, of course, duty bearers and beneficiaries. So the duty bearers are the government and other agencies that bring the services to them, and they are the ones that are supposed to receive those services. So it's their right, especially basic services. So they need to be, of course, sensitized to know about all these things. At the same time, the politicians too needs to be sensitized, because there are things that they can't use, because as a parliamentarian, you are expected to make laws. So they should be accountable to that. Are they making laws? What are the laws that they're making? How is it impacting society positively? But telling them that I'll build roads, I will do that, that is, to me, is not appropriate.
All right. So now we'll wait and see. The elections on November 7th, isn't it?
Yes. Maybe just to add that, of course, they all are having their support.
Oh,
of course, the NPP, we know, it's been supported by the NRP, who also contested for that seat in the last elections. We also know that the GDC is being supported by the United
UDP.
Democratic Party.
So it will be a litmus test of some sort for everybody concerned. It will give us a flavor. It will give us a hint of the direction that the wind is blowing.
Sure.
Thank you very much there, Mr. May. Now we go straight to our next news story. The president during the week paid a visit. What has been reported as unannounced visit to some of the construction works going on. Let's just take a look at this clip.
The president started his day tour of key infrastructure projects at Faraba in the West Coast region, where the construction of the UTG campus is at an advanced stage after further renegotiation and a new approach last year by his government.
That's it. Mr. Mbai, we've seen it there. President Barr reporting it as unannounced visit to the UTG campus, was it Faraba International Airport and Demban Clinic. What do you make of this sort of staged? Are they staged? This media visits? What do you make of that?
Yes, I think it is a good thing to do, because it's part of the project implementation process, if I may describe it that way. That is, of course, evaluation. So the president made these visits. We know that the Faraba University campus in Faraba was a brilliant idea, but it has seen a lot of setbacks in the past years. So I could remember vividly in 2014, during the former Vice Chancellor, Professor Muhammad Ka, unveiling that the government has secured $53 million to complete the first phase of the UTG Faraba campus project. That was in 2014. Now, 6 years on, how much of those funds, which the Vice Chancellor at that time said was secured from the of course, Islamic Development Bank and other partners, the Kuwaiti Fund, the Saudi Fund, and other partners, of course, government development partners. How much of that money really was secured by the government, and how much was spent on the campus? The reason why I'm asking this is, as a student of the university at that time, 2 to 3 years later, the university administration was moved from Faraba to the MDI campus after the completion of a building, the Peace Building, which was funded by the German government. Now, so this is something that I will, of course, it's my duty to try and know, and will also urge my colleagues to try and find out.
To know what's happening within the UTG.
So the president visiting there will, of course, give me an idea of how far things have gone, and where do we go from where it was when he arrived there. Okay. Of course, he was briefed, and then, you know, he would give his verdict of how things have gone. And it's very important, and it's also timely, because the university Faraba project needs to be completed. The university has been established since 21 years ago, and still the campus hasn't been completed as it were. So
Absolutely. But here, I've heard some people say, there's some journalists, that perhaps this was a photo op, these photo opportunities, particularly within the context of there's some elections about to happen, to show what you're doing, because obviously one would have more formal ways of knowing what's going on or not. One is in charge.
Well, yes.
Well, we'll know that anyway. But you don't seem to be that cynical about what's going on at all.
No.
You hold a different view.
Yes, because by Gambian standards, we know that the president visiting ongoing work that is funded by government is something that is going to, of course, boost the morale of those that are. Okay, it will also sound some alarm bells to those who are responsible for the implementation of that project, and that would, of course, at least gear them up a little bit, and also give them some sort of a sense of direction of where they should be going and what they should be doing, because the president have already been there, and the president, of course, has received information, not only the information that he was given by those that are implementing the project, but also from independent sources. So, yes, to me, I believe that it would definitely help in the successful implementation.
Thank you very much there, viewers. If you're just joining us, you're watching the Week in Review, and with your host today, Mamadou Mbouch. To our next story, the Ministry of Interior, with its partners, have launched what they call a technical working group to establish a national infrastructure for peace. Let's just look at this clip.
Building strategic peace infrastructure, such as security, policies constituting national security policy, national security strategy, security sector reform, and institutional and internal security policies is an optimism towards strengthening the peace, security, and social cohesion within the Gambia.
Yes, a national infrastructure for peace. Surely needed. I mean, we've got all sorts of reforms, security sector reform, policies, outlines. There are all sorts of things going on, but the emphasis is really on peace building. What do you make of that? One understands that, of course, in any society, before you can develop, before you can do anything, you need peace. But do you see many threats to that peace? Do you see any at threats, if you like, to that peace?
Well, I wouldn't call them threats, but I would say that, yeah, there are concerns that people should be very mindful of. Likewise, the authorities who are in charge of administering the nation. So, of course, peace building is crucial, because without peace, peace is the bedrock of any development process. So we need peace in order to move with all the plans that we are doing in building our nation. So developing this infrastructure, building this thing is crucial, and it's been done by the ministry in charge of internal security, internal affairs, which is also very important. Now, what I would say is the Gambia government has a lot of support from partners, development partners, to ensure that these things are achievable. Now, DNDP is one such partner that we all know has been supporting. You talked about the security sector reform and many other peace-building initiatives that they even help in the policy-making process. They even support the government. So, in general terms, it is a brilliant idea, but it will also bring me back to some of course, the same, infrastructure that we have set up. We understand that there was one for the environment. How much has it impacted? How much has it achieved in terms of the goal that it was set up for? We also had one for, I think, the national languages. I remember at the National Assembly. I think some of the National Assembly Select Committee are part of that. How much have they achieved since they were set up in terms of realizing the goal? These are questions, these are pertinent questions that we need to, because it's brilliant. Gambia have a lot of brilliant policies and programs, but the implementation always had some issues, and these are things that we need to. That's why earlier when we talk about the president visit, I was saying it's part of the evaluation process to find out how far they have gone in implementing these projects. So it's a brilliant initiative dealing with something that we can't go without, that is peace, and everyone should be involved in ensuring that it becomes a success. But I would also advise that it be monitored and evaluated so that we will know its impact, whether it's impacting, whether it's achieving the
That's
goals.
it. This is the perennial obstacle, isn't it? The perennial problem. Constantly, why don't we implement? What is going on here when it comes to implementation? And as they say, I mean, the fruit of words really are in action,
Yeah,
as
sure.
they say. But we never get that. Maybe this one will get a different outcome, a different behavior from these people. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
We have to keep on, hoping, really, as long as you are alive.
Sure.
Before we go on to our next story, let's just take a quick break. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Gambia de asike itolle de yata banku to mali beti fata filla jang bari wo nyawnya duniya la kafu ba fulan nyaw la nyaton ko le bembay mina wala jiala 2022 pour be ngoy nyinya ay la ko ngato di ya soto je Gambia man sakunda e fero le landi ka OIC Gambia ka fo londi kana fulol kensu nyokan anin ka jorangol nyini pour ka yirwani nyato tata mandi men si fan nene manje jan doto Gambia banko kan membita fo sila muwang ibe wala do kula ndu ibe batil hadin sila ba fanundi lale kake sila karaba fulati tarangoni naran karo bela kabo airport fosting corner momo be sirin Gambia jang amuye nyantolti pour ka jisenu ngosoto anin kurango menti tati lo mumo be kono nyin kammala jibor sila kuta jamala be didala ke janjandi anin ke tala pour ka jamala sulosi pour ka kuran sir ngodi jamala OIC Gambia project be joseri kela anin ka sembe la fa ke nawek la transformers nyolla wala mo ila masingol men yalon ko ibe dulal to taring ani la kuran julolu men be janjandi dulalu to men na police kunda ma ko ila jamana la banjorangol to le me yalon ko be nindilale inyante muna fayle la nyamin ferolu koto membe Gambian be dolu kela dula tankari ngoti ni yirwa ko wol men be ko kanna conference center lo kanna airport be dida ku pour na luntan ku mal men be jila je ke bendung 5-star hotel to me yalon ko isulata jamana la bang jorango jorande batar la konole nyimbe mu fenneti membe Gambia farmansande la kake nyaton kati pour ka nyin conference falo jiya West Africa jang ninde nyomalu tourism la karola menyi lodu la bambande la kaje ko Gambia e tenten kake nyaton kati tubabu luntangol la dundim finto la banko kanjang nkana so muk yenna bandero jindi dunia be yello menna the smiling coast ka kumo suti yande OIC Gambia be do ku soto bunda jamala wala na moliye kay safaro yirwande ka Gambia banko fango mulungo yela mandi sakon na kombo tubabu banko ka felo nyinyandi bake ndunga sinninna dimba yalu balu nyalu falin woto alinga OIC Gambia fasa ba membe parendiri ke kan na banko ye pour ka dunia la nyimbe mbaka tango jiya OIC Gambia ka do ko ke bi pour na sama nafa.
Welcome back to the Weekend Review with your host, Mohammed Mboch, and I've got today Mr. Mustafa Mbaye to help me digest this week's news stories. To our next story. During the week, we celebrated, we marked, commemorated the birth of the Prophet Muhammad. Let's just take a look at this clip.
This day is a very important day in the Islamic calendar, as it is the day that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam joined the rest of the world in living on earth. And when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came, he found the whole world living in darkness, enmity to each other, and he is the one that stopped that enmity, fighting each other.
Yes, there we just had the Imam of Taqwa giving us the significance of Mawlid Nabi. So, what do you make of it? How did you mark it?
Well,
because I understand that some people marked it the following day, didn't they?
yes.
Not on the Wednesday that we thought.
Right. So that's right. So Maulud Nabi commonly known as Gamo.
Gamo,
of course,
exactly.
is commemorated annually to mark the birth of the Prophet, as you said. Yes, in the Gambia, it's not new that some of these events are celebrated in 2 days because of some differences that in terms of believing which day that these events fall on. So it's something that we as Muslims believe, whether it's through religion or culture, that we are doing it and we still continue to do it. So the reason why I'm saying this is we know that it's something that some Muslims also say that they are not celebrating.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
They shouldn't do
so,
that.
but as I said, it's a choice, and as the religion teaches us, you always. I wouldn't want to go deep into religion, just the basics.
No need for that.
Yes. So, so what you believe is what you should do in terms of religion, as long as you are following the guidance of the Prophet's words, which is the Hadith, and also the Holy Book of Islam, which is the Quran.
But this is it. In a modern society, really, if you're tolerant, isn't it? And we're a pluralist society, so you can accept these differences without them becoming a sort of source of conflict, isn't it? That's basically what the secret is.
And that is very important.
That's the key.
And to lead us to that is our religious leaders. So they don't just have to just, pile up some of these things that are bringing some differences or misunderstanding. They need to come out and discuss it among themselves and reach out a consensus, an agreement where all the other Muslim followers would also be following. But if that is not done, these things are always they are liable to happen because people will have some differences in this. Some say it is cultural, while others say it is religious. So the differences will always continue. So unless those who are in charge, our leaders in the religious affairs, Islam in particular, because this is about an Islamic issue, should come and discuss and then agree that this is what should be done during this event of Maulud. But to be frank, there are differences, I can tell you this. And so we all know it is there, it's just that just putting it under the carpet.
So let's just agree to disagree.
Yes.
This is how democracy works. Thank you very much, Mr. May. To our next story, there was an assessment report on land and natural resource conflict during the week. So there was a meeting of all the stakeholders to validate this report. Let's just take a look at this clip.
The objective of the workshop is to present the baseline findings, discuss and validate evidence provided by the consultants.
Certainly, timely. That's the sort of thing we need, really. Land and natural resource conflicts, particularly land, isn't it? The whole place, all over the place. You have land disputes popping up all over the place, and it seems we have no way. There doesn't seem to be any mechanism of dealing with this, apart from the fact that these people can go to court, but politically there doesn't seem to be anything in place to deal with it. And in the end, it's going to end up there. That's really the long-term solution, really. Will end there.
Yes. So land and natural resources has been a source of conflict in different parts of the world, especially the developing world of Africa, Asia, and Latin America. The Gambia included. But until recently, until, of course, the coming into power of this government, land matters were all under the control of the central government, the Ministry of Lands. Now, we've seen this government establish a land commission, and of course, the land commission is looking into some of these issues, these land issues, because they are everywhere, in every part of the country. I can tell you that I've seen land disputes in a place where I expected that it would never happen there. So remote. And I mean, So it tells you how precious, land is. So the government set up this land commission, and the land commission is tasked with trying to ensure.
But how long has it been in operation? What have you heard? What has it done?
Well,
it's always we are looking into this, we are looking into that, and not long ago, the chairman of the commission went before the Assembly, National Assembly members, and what he said there was essentially there isn't much that the land commission can do.
That's what I saw, and it's alarming because the commission was set up at least a while ago to look into all these matters. Now, so what we were expecting is for the commission to outline all the issues and what their investigations found regarding these land problems. So unfortunately that hasn't happened, but I believe it will, because they were purposely set up to do that, to deal with these issues. Because going to court about land matters does not solve the problems. One, the government didn't have the resources to deal with all these land court cases. That is number one. So some of the cases you can see can go for 10 years or even more. And it's a very, very long wait for someone, for a farmer, let's say, to wait for 10 years before your land is given back to you.
And the ordinary person, you may not afford a lawyer to go to court.
Right.
I'm not sure, you know.
Yes, so coming back to the urban land disputes, I think, in my opinion, the government needs to take a different approach in dealing with the issues. Let's say the Department of Lands use a computerized system, a digital system, where land ownership is digitized. Because we've seen people complaining that they own a land only to come out to see a date that was backdated to someone else who claimed ownership. Now, if you go to court, of course the court is going to consider the earlier date as the sole owner of the land. So, and it's very easy. It's a matter of just putting a stamp and signing and a date. So you write the date. So if it is digitized, of course the original owner will always be the owner of that land.
That's it, because we tend to see stuff like that, don't we? So many different people can come, same land, they will come and put down their papers.
Yes,
they all have signed and
so
sealed, absolutely.
To deal with that, the government needs a different approach that is, digitalizing all these processes of land ownership so that there won't be any fraud. There won't be any fraud. So probably would urge the government to look into this suggestion to ensure that they use a digital system in terms of land ownership so that there wouldn't be incidents that we are seeing or hearing now, which is, I bought this land 10 years ago, only for someone to bring a document showing that he owns it 12 years ago. So if it was digitized, there is no way that such claims would come to surface.
I'm certainly, we certainly need to rationalize at the very least all the systems, otherwise we're going to be shackled.
Yes, not only in land, it has to be across
all sorts
the board.
of things, isn't it?
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Thank you very much, Mustafa Mbaye. To our next story, we mentioned earlier that the president during the week went to visit the construction, some of these construction sites where they're doing works. The National Assembly also did. Let's just take a look at this clip.
22 feeder roads are to be constructed within the Greater Banjul area in preparation for the summit. After touring the sites, Honorable Sidia Jatta says he is hopeful that the construction of the roads will be done as expected.
That some of the issues that were raised, for example, when you are constructing road, I think certain things should be factored into it. Utilities, for example, if you are thinking of pipes for water, electricity, all these things should be factored. Otherwise, you'd construct a road and then come and spoil it again in order to cater for those things, which is happening in some areas. We are happy that you are up to the task, and we are confident that you will be able to meet the goals that you have fixed yourselves.
So there we have it again. Presumably with you, that's an okay thing. So now the National Assembly have gone to the airport, is it, to look at the what we are doing, particularly in the context of the OIC summit in 2022. Are you confident that we will complete before then?
Yes, in fact, I am an optimist. So I'm confident that we are going to make it before the OIC. However, it means we must start now and start everything and work every day towards the date. The reason why I'm saying this is there are lots of projects that needs to be implemented. So the airport project is an expansion project, of course, the VIP and the other areas in the airport, because of course hosting the OIC summit is a very huge event, because we're expecting dozens of heads of states with their entourage, and of course we need the infrastructure.
But actually they visited the secretariat, didn't they? The OIC secretariat.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. So and that means we need to overhaul or to expand all our infrastructure in order to accommodate these visiting guests in the OIC 2022.
Yeah, we understand that 20 roads and the 5-star hotel. We've been told all
yes,
sorts of
so
things.
the airport is one of the projects.
It's part of it, yeah.
The urban roads also, because people need to have access to the center. And you rightly mentioned the 20 roads that are supposed to be, I think even one of them has been started from Latrikunda Market towards Sukuta, that road. They've already working on it. There are other roads around Coastal Road and many other urban roads that they are not working, that they should be working on. And that is why I say this will start now, because there is not much time. If it is less than 2 years,
barely 1 year. Really,
yes, so
2022,
exactly.
2020 is gone.
Yes,
really.
so we need to start now. The OIC is, of course, doing a great job. It is showing some of the work that has been done. It has put out plans. The bidding process and all those things are very, very encouraging. And this is something that we expect to see them giving us update on the bidding process, on the companies that have bidded, the companies who have won the bids, and when work is starting. And crucially, the funding aspect is also crucial. We understand that, of course, the OIC.
We understand that we've got the money.
Yes. So
it's just a matter of working.
Well, we are not sure that they get the money, but the money should be available. So whether it is there, but I know some of these companies that will be bidding, they have other ways of trying to get the funds or get the work done while the funding is being processed. So, but all that we need is to successfully host it, to avoid what happened the last time when we were supposed to host it only to lose it somehow.
Absolutely. And to have good quality roads, not to cut corners for a longer term. We know how things can be sometimes, and it's important that we say these things. Thank you very much there, Mr. Mamai. Let's go for another short commercial break. See you in a moment.
anin kiwsel ifankanta kana jahal kotege nila credit ko banta ni wonten ko dote bulu pour ka credit ko sang credit wafilale be jamfari la bang kiwsel ifankanta le nata ke makoy isa credit ko donto kabo dalasi tang fo dalasi keme yajo wati diate star 393 has dial sign pour ke muna fanyina wati ntolle mu network kendoti alata minna mba folale ko ali muna fang star 393 has la pour que munafang i fankantala ka fo star 118 ye bye mbe kala mutandila ko star 118 has ite munafan nola nyinna ka dati November karo atiri tannin lulu 2020 woto i munafang star 393 has la pour que munafang i fankanta service wala ni lafta kuma sene wala 111 call kiwsel suñu boss ñing sartol le bala.
Welcome to the Weekend Review with your host, Mamadou Boj. I'm with Mr. Mustafa Mai. To our next story, the TRRC. We've been hearing testimonies from witnesses. The theme of the week was the activities of the NIA. Let's just take a look at this clip.
The witness alleged that at one point, one of the NIA officers threatened to shoot him if he continued to waste their time. Out of the $300,000 price he charged the NIA for the land, the witness said he ended up receiving less than $30,000.
Mr. Mbai, we've just heard from Musa Cham there, businessman. He was bullied. That's the claim. So we'll always put it in context that this is simply collecting information. But if it is true, quite extraordinary. But bullied out of his land. I mean, apparently he charged 300,000. He got less than 30,000 by the NIA. Can you imagine?
It is, of course, a staggering revelation. But we have to remember that the TRRC, of course, was set up by an act of parliament. The TRRC is set up to, of course, TRRC's truth commissions everywhere. They investigate past abuses. And this is very crucial because it would help people to know. It would also keep records for the government, for the country, of what happened. But not only that, but it will also help us to ensure that these things are not repeated. Those are two important reasons for a truth commission. Now, we also know that it would help to bring closures because we've had so many things, disappearances and killings that were not very clear. So just a little background about the TRRC. I was just giving a little background about the setting up of the TRRC. It will give a closure to some of those, of course, disappearances that were never explained. Now, what happened this week, we've seen very, very emotional testimonies. We talked about the land issues here. This charm that you said was someone that told the TRRC that he was a victim of just what we talked about earlier here about the land, because he also explained that he, being the owners of his lands, documents were presented in court that shows that they were previous owners, something that we said here could have been avoided if it was digitized. So it was really harrowing to...
if there wasn't any bullying,
yes,
this looks more like some people taking advantage of a situation and just
and it's
scamming them.
And it's not new because we all know that there are a lot of allegations against the former NIA, the former National Intelligence Agency, regarding, abuse of office, regarding torture and things like that. And this is just one case that seems to solidify those, claims against the NIA. And the TRRC, of course, is just gathering the facts, is investigating, and they would prepare their report and recommendations at the end of their tenure, their work. So not only that, but we also heard about other testimonies. I know maybe you come to that too.
Oh, absolutely. We heard from Aliu Lo, who was Dur Cham's nephew.
Exactly.
And because he was because Dur Cham was accused of a plot to coup the former president. So, according to this testimony, of course, so he was seen in that context. And we heard from Kanjaba Kanye's wife, Aisha, too, and from somebody called Ibrahim Barrow, who said that he was also accused of plotting a coup.
So it's so disheartening to hear some of these testimonies. But as I said earlier, we are trying to establish the facts, to investigate, get the facts, so that, one, we will get them recorded in our history. Two, we will ensure that it never happened again. And three, it will bring closure to so many things that are yet to come to light regarding these events since 1994. So in as much as it is very difficult, especially for the victims, because it's so sad to hear things happening, these things that are so brutal happening to some of them, being incarcerated for 9 years, tortured and the like, according to what they gave to the TRRC. So it's sad, but it's also very important as a nation that we try to establish some of these facts.
You're absolutely right. So it will be interesting to see how more testimonies, how other testimonies, when they resume next week, will be like. Thank you very much. We've really sort of come towards the end of the program. We'll just mention perhaps what we included, what we perhaps wanted to talk about was the sinking of the ship the boat off the coast of Senegal, killing 140. And again, what happened in Cameroon with, you know, those children, with the secessionist group going there, killing them. Remarkable what's happening around the world.
These are
one a natural disaster, another one just human callousness.
Yeah, these are very, very important events, as you rightly mentioned. And, you know, just as usual, your program deals with these very important current events. So it's tragic, but it's a wake-up call, especially the boat tragedy off the coast of Senegal. Because if in the early 2000s, we all knew that this was the route that was taken to the Canary Islands, and tens of thousands of people crossed through these boats, and thousands died along the way. So now that Libya is closing, they have now rerouted towards here, and it's a wake-up call to the sub-region to ensure that, you know, they take measures and immediate measures and immediate and effective measures to ensure that they clamp down on this. So because otherwise
140 died, drowned, you're told.
And this is just one boat. So imagine if
how many?
15 boats are taken up per day, it's going to be a disaster. So the Cameroon issue, we all know the Ambazonians. You know, eight children died and 8 more hospitalized. Yes, because the English-speaking section.
What is it? They call it the Anglophone problem. They have to solve the Anglophone problem. Otherwise, you keep on having this. And we've been getting it with Islamist terrorism before, but now you have the secessionists. According, that's the allegation anyway.
Yes,
the secessionists are doing some of these things.
And Mr. Mboy is pathetic because if you think of what they are fighting, they're saying they're teaching our kids via English. We speak English. They're teaching them French. In our courts, they speak French. So we want our own country called the Ambazonia.
Yes.
Why should they fight for foreign languages, in establishing foreign languages in their country? These are foreign languages of God.
Well, you can, but the fact of going to the children and killing them because they have that's beyond something else.
That was it's pathetic.
We can never finish this, Mr. Mbaye. Thank you very much for your views, Mustafa Mbaye. It was a fantastic discussions on the week stories. And thank you very much, viewers, for joining us on the Week in Review. Until next time, I'm Mudu Mboch. Goodbye.